Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Crystal B, and I am here to talk to you about the second part of the eclipse season story, the June 10th solar eclipse in Gemini. So there's a lot going on in this story. First and foremost, this is going to be the second part of the eclipse season story, which at the end of May, we experienced a total lunar eclipse, which was an ending chapter. And now here on June 10th, we're experiencing the beginning chapter. Something new is upon us. The only, kind of clincher to the whole thing is that the something new is taking place during Mercury retrograde. So that is really going to delay some of the progress that we want to see, and it's going to slow down momentum. And it's also going to kind of trip us up and make us have to kind of go back and revisit some things of the past in order to move forward again. So there's a few additional things in this eclipse story that are really important to make note of. I think a lot of us are going to probably blame Mercury retrograde for some of the, back and forth that we're going to see around this time. But Neptune is going to be a really big player in this solar eclipse story. And Neptune is the king of illusions and delusion. And he's also very good at creating a fog around us. So whatever kind of new momentum were gaining speed on, whatever you were doing in the beginning part of the year, you're definitely starting to experience a slowdown right now. And any of those initiations that you did, you may be feeling a little uncertain about things. You may be feeling a little bit in a fog. Things may not be as clear as you want them to be. And yeah, you can blame a little bit of that on Mercury, but really it's Neptune, because Neptune is the great illusionist. He's the guy that creates a lot of fog, a lot of uncertainty. Another thing that's really going to be kind of aggravating the situation a little bit, or aggravating the solar eclipse of this new beginning story, is that we're going to have Mars traveling through the 29th degree of Cancer. And something that I've mentioned in the past is that Mars is not that comfortable in Cancer. Mars wants to go, 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 go. Mars doesn't want to be emotional. Cancer is very emotional. Mars and Cancer just don't work. Mars doesn't do well when he's in, a water sign, in a feeling kind of sign. But here on the 29th degree, he wants to do something. He wants to take action. So even though things are delayed and there's a delay and there's a fog, I feel like people are going to want to take action in some kind of way, or you're going to be emotionally driven to do something, even though it may not be the right time or the right place. Like there's a lot of emotions driving us in this picture. So be careful with that, Mars, because Mars in the 29th degree is really, it can be very combustible. And it's something to really, kind of play your cards right with that one. So just watch it, especially watch your emotions, your reactions, because there's definitely going to be a high probability of you reacting emotionally when you don't want to be. Another thing is that this eclipse is highlighting the dual natured sign of Gemini. And what we're going to be noticing is people's, how people have two sides. Number one, there's two sides to every story. I think maybe you started to hear about one side of the story, and now as we get to this eclipse, there's going to be another side that's going to be coming out. Or potentially there's a lot of information coming around and you don't know which side to believe. Again, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of information, a lot of chattiness. Gemini loves information. And given that we are in a Mercury retrograde, there's going to be a lot of misinformation, kind of going around. So be careful in what you believe. Another thing is Gemini, because it's a dual nature, we all have a shadow side. We have a light and we have a dark. And this, because of the way things are aligning in this solar eclipse, we may be experiencing some of the dark side may come out. there's going to be a potential for us to experience or to navigate or to kind of stare down our shadows, or you may see that in relationships around you. So be aware of the shadow side. And, if you feel like your dark side is coming out, kind of tame it down and know that, this eclipse is really kind of taunting the other side to come out. But you want to always make sure to leverage it properly, right? The last thing I want to mention about the solar eclipse story is that this solar eclipse, again, taking place on June the 10th, and probably we're going to feel effects a few days prior. That's always what happens when it comes to eclipses. We are going to be experiencing the second Saturn Uranus square. And that's a very big part of the 2021 story, the big 2021 story. And at this juncture, at this point, at this solar eclipse moment, even though Saturn and Uranus are not exact in their square, they will be exact a few days later, we're going to be feeling that desire for change. But because it's Saturn involved in the mix, he's restrictive. He says there's limitations. Uranus wants to be free. He wants to break out. He wants to do everything, rebellious and kind of break out of a rut, do something totally different, be the explorer, explore new territory, kind of get out of whatever cage you've been in. But Saturn is going to be restricting him. And we're feeling this in our own lives in all many, in various different ways. Maybe you want to leave a job, but you can't. Maybe you're feeling restricted on the home front. Maybe you are looking for, something to change in a relationship, but it's not changing. Maybe you are looking for some sort of breakout, some sort of break free, but you can't. There's a restriction around you. And if you're feeling that, this is because you're caught up in the Saturn Uranus square. And that's a story that began in February. And it comes to another kind of very important turning point here at this solar eclipse moment. And then it will not finally kind of come to, a finale until we get to the end of the year, until December. So listen to what the universe is trying to tell you here. Look around you. Make sure that you are being aware. Eclipse periods are so important and so fruitful for awareness. And even though they are uncomfortable, and there's no doubt there's a lot of uncomfortability with this, especially when it comes to information, when it comes to news, when it comes to uncertainty, when it comes to getting a clear plan, all those things are not ready to come to fruition yet. They will be later in the month once Mercury goes direct, and probably more as we get into July. But the fact is that take a look around, see what you're observing, see what kind of, old things are cropping back up, and pay attention to them. And if something needs to close out or, kind of maybe get reinvented, take a look at it. Be open to the possibilities of doing that, because that's what this solar eclipse wants you to do. So I wish everybody well, and I'm sending everybody good new beginnings energy with a twist of the past. Make sure to use all the, caveats I've mentioned, and, use them to your advantage and kind of go slow and steady. This is not the time to forge too quickly ahead, given all of the retrogrades in motion. All right, everybody, until next time, bye-bye.